One of the more durable secular changes has been around pollution and emissions control. And you have several global treaties in Europe, the US, and in Asia that mandate different types of implementation levels and standards and timing. So for instance, you have on-road emissions and off-road emissions, which the off-road tends to be construction, like mining and agriculture. And those tend to meaningfully affect the economics of companies. And they're very secular in nature, but they're not terribly interesting in the press, right? Like you will read a lot about battery-powered cars in the press. And so I would say battery-powered cars are going to be a big change for the economy. I'm less likely to spend time on it because I think it's just a crowded space. I think a lot of people are interested. Reading about changes to emission standards in China is not very interesting for most people reading a US newspaper. And so that tends to be a good space to spend your time. There's other places I think that are misunderstood. Closer to home, I really think what's going on in Mexico is very interesting and is going to have some very large implications for capital goods companies and some materials companies as well. And if you look at it, this is a good example of looking at change and understanding it instead of being the one who discovered it. Because certainly I didn't discover privatization and energy reform in Mexico, but I think I may have a slightly nuanced understanding of it given our framework relative to other investors. And what I would say is, if you talked to someone in oil services, they would say, oh, well, it's nice that they're going to privatize Pemex, perhaps, or that they'll allow foreign oil companies to come in and book reserves. But it's going to take a long time before oil flows, so it's too far out to worry about as an investor. I hear that a lot. And what's interesting is, if you look at Cisco and Pepsi and some other large companies, they've all made very big CapEx commitments to Mexico because what's happened is US companies are always looking for something close to home that's a better deal than what they have. And if Mexico is going to be business friendly, they're going to get a lot of CapEx. And it's not really just about the oil. It's about the mentality of change there. And so I think the change will happen much faster than people think.